Carnation, Lily, Lily, Rose, Part 3, by Kelly Link. Dear Cindy, Cynthia, Senphania, there are some people here with me now. I'm not sure if I'm in their place, if this place is theirs, or if I brought them here like luggage. Maybe it's some of one, some of the other. They're people, or maybe I should say a person I used to know when I was little. I think they've been watching me for a while, but they're shy. They don't talk much. Hard to introduce yourself when you have forgotten your name. When I saw them, I was astounded. I sat down on the floor of the lobby. My legs were like water. A wave of emotion came over me so strong I didn't recognize it. It might have been grief. It might have been relief. I think it was recognition. They came and stood around me, looking down. "I know you," I said. "You're Lulies." They nodded. Some of them smiled. They are so pale, so fat. When they smile, their eyes disappear in folds of flesh. But they have tiny, soft, bare feet, like children's feet. "You're the dead man," one said. It had a tiny, soft voice. Then we talked. Half of what they said made no sense at all. They don't know how I got here. They don't remember Lully Bellows. They don't remember dying. They were afraid of me at first, but also curious. They wanted to know my name. Since I didn't have one, they tried to find a name that fit me. Walter was put forward, then rejected. I was un-Walter-like. Samuel, also Milo, also Rupert. Quite a few of them liked Alphonse, but I felt no particular leaning towards Alphonse. "Tree," said one of the Lulies. Tree never liked me very much. I remember your mother standing under the green leaves that leaned down on bowed branches dragging on the ground like skirts. Oh, it was such a tree, the most beautiful tree I'd ever seen. Halfway up the tree, glaring up at me, was a fat black cat with long white whiskers and an elegant, sheeny bib. You pulled me away. You'd put a T-shirt on. You stood in the window. "I'll get him," you said to the woman beneath the tree. "You go back to bed, Mum. Come here, Tree." Tree walked the branch to the window, the same broad branch that had lifted me up to you. You, Ariadne, Thomasina, plucked him off the sill and then closed the window. When you put him down on the bed, he curled up at the foot, purring. But when I woke up later, dreaming that I was drowning, he was crouched on my face, his belly heavy as silk against my mouth. I always thought Tree was a silly name for a cat. When he got old, he slept out in the garden, but he still didn't look like a tree. He looked like a cat. He ran out in front of my car. I saw him. You saw me see him. I realized that it would be the last straw. A miscarriage, your husband sleeps with a graduate student, then he runs over your cat. I was trying to swerve, to not hit him. Something tells me I hit him. I didn't mean to, sweetheart, love, Pearl, Patsy, Portia, you know who. The dead man watches television with the Lulies, soap operas. The Lulies know how to get the antenna crooked so that the reception is decent, although the sound does not come in. One of them stands beside the TV to hold it just so. The soap opera is strangely dated, the clothes old-fashioned, the sort the dead man imagines his grandparents wore. The women wear cloche hats. Their eyes are heavily made up. There is a wedding. There is a funeral also. although it is not clear to the dead man watching who the dead man is. Then the characters are walking along a beach. The woman wears a black and white striped bathing costume that covers her modestly from neck to mid-thigh. The man's fly is undone. They do not hold hands. There is a buzz of comment from the loolies. Too dark, one says about the woman. Still alive, another says. Too thin, one says, indicating the man should eat more. Might blow away in a wind. Out to sea. Out to tree. The loolies look at the dead man. The dead man goes to his room. He locks the door. His penis sticks up hard as a tree. It is pulling him across the room towards the bed. The man is dead, but his body doesn't know it yet. The body still thinks that it is alive. He begins to say out loud the names he knows, beautiful names, silly names, improbable names. The loolies creep down the hall. They stand outside his door and listen to the list of names. Dear Bobby, Billy, I wish you would write back. You know who. When the sky changes, the loolies go outside. The dead man watches them pick the stuff off the beach. They eat it, methodically, chewing it down to a paste. They swallow and pick up more. The dead man goes outside. He picks up some of the stuff. Angel food cake? Manna? He smells it. It smells like flowers, like carnations, lilies, like roses. He puts some in his mouth. It tastes like nothing at all. The dead man kicks at the mailbox. Dear Daphne, Proserpine? Rapunzel? Isn't there a fairy tale where a little man tries to do this? Guess a woman's name? I have been making stories up about my death. One death I've imagined is when I'm walking down to the subway, and then there is a strong wind and the mobile sculpture by the subway, the one that spins in the wind, lifts up and falls on me. Another death is you and I. We are flying to some other country. Canada? The flight is crowded, and you sit one row ahead of me. There is a crack, and the plane splits in half like a cracked straw. Your half rises up, and my half falls down. You turn and look back at me. I throw out my arms. Wine glasses and newspapers and ribbons of clothes fall up in the air. The sky catches fire. I think maybe I stepped in front of a train. I was riding a bike and someone opened a car door. I was on a boat and it sank. This is what I know. I was going somewhere. This is the story that seems the best to me. We made love, you and I, and afterwards you got out of bed and stood there looking at me. I thought that you had forgiven me, that now we were going to go on with our lives the way we had been before. Bernice, you said, Gloria, Patricia, Jane, Rosemary, Laura, Harriet, Jocelyn, Nora, Rowena, and Thena. I got out of bed. I put on clothes and left the room. You followed me. Marley, Genevieve, Carla, Kitty, Siobhan, Marnie, Lindley, Teresa. You said the names staccato, one after the other, like stabs. I didn't look at you. I grabbed up my car keys and left the house. You stood in the door, watching me get in the car. Your lips were still moving, but I couldn't hear. Tree was in front of the car, and when I saw him I swerved. I was already going too fast, halfway up the driveway. I pinned him up against the mailbox, and then the car hit the lilac tree. White petals were raining down. You screamed. I can't remember what happened next. I don't know if this is how I died. Maybe I died more than once, but it finally took. Here I am. I don't think this is an island. I think that I am a dead man stuffed inside a box. When I'm quiet, I can almost hear the other dead men scratching at the walls of their boxes. Or maybe I'm a ghost. Maybe the waves, which look like fur, are fur. And maybe the water, which hisses and spits at me, is really a cat. And the cat is a ghost, too. Maybe I'm here to learn something, to do penance. The Lulies have forgiven me. Maybe you will, too. When the sea comes to my hand, when it purrs at me, I'll know that you've forgiven me for what I did, for leaving you after I did. Or maybe I'm a tourist, and I'm stuck on this island with the Lulies until it's time to go home, or until you come here to get me. Poppy? Irene? Dolores? Which is why I hope you get this letter. You know who.